Greetings, scholars. In this lesson, you will learn how to divide using the long division strategy. Let's get started. Let's start with a word problem. Mr. Jacobs had 564 books in his library. He put up 7 bookcases. The equation below can be used to determine the number of books he put on each bookcase. So we have 564 divided by 7. Whenever you're passing out, splitting, sharing, making groups, that is all under the division category. In this case, we have 7 bookshelves, bookcases, and we have 564 books that we want to split up amongst these shelves. And so we want to see how many will go on each one. So that is splitting up, sharing, passing out. We have a strategy called the long division strategy that we can apply with larger numbers. With the smaller numbers, you can skip count, maybe use flip to multiplication strategy. But with the bigger numbers, long division is a great strategy to use. So what you're going to do is set up your divisor, this number here, on the outside. Your total number of what you have on the inside. This symbol right here is a division symbol that you use in the strategy. So then you ask yourself, how many 7s fit into 5? You can't do that. Your first step is to divide. That fit into is your division. So then you say, how many 7s fit into 56? You open it up to 56. And then you skip count by 7s. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56. And what you're trying to do is skip count by 7s until you reach 56 or get close. So sometimes you don't land right on it. So 7 goes into 56. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So you write the 8 above the 6 because the 7 fit into 56, not 5. Then you're going to now move to your multiplication step. 8 times 7 is 56. You subtract out 56 right from these two numbers. And that leaves you with 0. You bring down your 4. How many 7s fit into 4? None. So you put your 0 placeholder here, and then you put remainder 4 along here. So then we go back, and we know that 80 books can go in each bookcase, and then you have 4 left over that you maybe can put on display or something like that. Let's go to our next problem. Alright, it's your turn. What I want you to do, pause the video at this point and try to solve this same one. If you kind of feel like a little uncomfortable, you might want to drag it back and rewatch this part again. Alright, you should have paused it. Now you're unpausing it to check to see how you did. Again, we set up that smaller number on the outside, 202 to 43 on the inside. We have our division symbol here for the strategy. Okay? How many 2s fit into, how many 6s fit into 2? You can't do that. So then you go to how many 6s fit into 24. Skip count by your 6s. If you know your facts, you can go much faster. That's what I tell my students. 1, 2, 3, 4. You put your 4 here. 4 times 6 is 24. Subtract that out. You're left with 0. Bring down your 3. How many 6s go into 3? 0. So then your answer is 40, remainder 3. You cannot have, some students get really confused. They just try to leave this part open. You can't have this last digit here with nothing above it. So you put that 0 placeholder in, and your answer is 40, remainder 3. I hope you did a good job. Try again with this one. Pause it here and see if you can solve this. Alright, you should have unpaused it. You're coming just to check your work. So let's set this up. How many 4s fit into 1? It can't. How many 4s fit into 12? 4. This is your division. 8, 12. So it lands right on it. Put your 3 up here, now you multiply. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract that out, that's 0. We finish our subtraction, now we bring down. Bring down your 8. How many 4s now fit into 8? Well, 1, 2. 2 groups. That's your division. You put your 2 up here, you divide. How many 4s go into 8? That's the division. Skip count by 4s till you reach 8. That's still division. 4, 8. 2 groups. Put your 2 up here. 2 times 4 is 8. You're left with 0. Your answer is 32. How did you do? If you're not getting these right, I would definitely try these again until you start to get them. Let's move on to some bigger numbers. There are 1,256 students. If there are 5 schools, how many students will be in each school equally? So let's set this up. What would that be? What would be our equation? 1,256 divided by 5. So we set up our 5 here, 1,256 here. So we know it's division because you're splitting up those students into the different schools. How many 5s go into 1? This is your division part. None. How many 5s go into 12? Well, let's skip count by 5s. 5, 10, 15. Oh, it doesn't land right on 12, but how many 5s can go into 15 without going over? 5, 10, 2. So you put your 2 here. Remember, the 5 didn't fit into the 1, it fit into the 12. So you write the 2 above the 12. 2 times 5, now we multiply. Go back, tap that 2 times 5, and you're going to get 10. Subtract that out, you're left with 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. What do? We just subtracted. Now we bring down. Bring down the 5 so that you make 25. So it's like, this strategy is like splitting up your numbers to make them easier to work with. How many 5s go into 25? Let's skip counting. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you put your 5 right above the 5 and you tap it. We're multiplying now. 5 times 5 is 25. You subtract 25 from 25. That's correct. You're left with 0. We subtracted, now what do? Bring down that 6. Don't forget about the 6. Sometimes kids just put remainder 0. Hey, we still have another number we're working with. Bring that 6 down here. How many 5s go into 6? 1. How many 5s? See this? Skip out by 5 to reach 6. 5, 10 is too high. 5, 10 is too high. Put that down. One more group. 1 times 5 is 5. Oh, I'm running out of space here. Minus 5 is 1. That's a 5, sorry. So your answer is 251. Remainder 1. Now, let's look at this. You can check. One way to check your answer, go back and multiply. So we take 251, times it by 5. We get 5 here, 25, 10, 11, 12. So we have 1,055 plus the remainder is 1,255 plus 1 is 1,256. So look, you know your answer's right, you get your check going, you feel confident. Let's go to our next page, which is, hey, your turn. What I want you to do, solve this using the US long division strategy. Pause the video now, and we'll come back and we'll see how you do. Alright, you should have unpaused it. Let's take a look and see how we're doing with these numbers. Up to the 3 digits. So how many times does 8 go into 1? Can't. How many times does 8 fit into 16? That's your division. When you're saying fit into, how many go into, that's division. So you do 8, 16, 2 groups. Put the 2 above the 6, because remember, it went into the 16. Then you multiply now. I don't know if you can see that. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract that out. 0, bring down to 3. Now this gets really tricky because you brought down, now it's time to divide. How many times can 8 fit into 3? It can't. So what do? You put a 0 here, and then you move down to the next place. That one always tricks people. So if you really had trouble with that, do that one again. And now you'll remember, oh yeah, okay, 8 can't go into 3, put your 0, then bring down that second number, and then look, now you ask yourself, how many 8s go into 33? Finish up your skip counting. And I usually have my students skip count till they go over, then cross this one out. Count your groups. How many 8s fit in? 8, 16, 24, 32. So that's 4 groups. So the 4 goes here. Tap the 4 times 8. Now we multiply. 4 times 8 is 32. The same steps each time. And you have 1, and there's nothing else to bring down. So guess what? Your answer is 204, remainder 1. If you had trouble with that one, Don't get frustrated. Just keep practicing until you start to get it. Now, this one is kind of different because look, 3 can fit into 6. So go ahead and set up your long division strategy. And we're doing 6,205 divided by 3. Pause now and see how you do. Okay, we're bringing it back. Now, how many times does 3 go into 6? Let's get counted. Now, remember, this is higher than this. So 3 can go into 6. So don't skip this and go into 62. It breaks it up into smaller parts. So you see how many 3's fit right into 6 this time. 3, 6. So that's 2. The 2 gets written right above the 6 because 3 can go into 6. Multiply now. 2 times 3 is 6. Subtract that out. You have 0. Bring down your 2. How many 3's go into 2? Do you remember? None. Put your 0. Now what do? Bring down our 0. How many 3's fit into 20? Well, let's skip count. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 is too high. Count your groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 6 gets written above the 0. 6 times 3. Multiply now. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract that out. Can't do 0 minus 8, can you? Go off from the 2, make it a 1. This becomes 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. Then what do? Bring down our last number. You're not done yet. You still have to bring down the 5. How many 3's go into 25? Well, let's finish our skip counting. 24, 27. So then we have, that's too high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 groups. Put your 8 above the 5. 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract it out, you're left with 1. So then your answer is, wow, 2,068. Remainder 1. Now let's do our check here. 2,068. I like to make sure I'm right. Anybody else like that? 24, 18, 19, 20. 3 times 0 is 0. Plus 2 is 2. And then 6. So we have plus the remainder 1. Equals 2,060. 2,024 plus the 1 equals 2,000. Oh, I wrote the wrong number. Equals 2,006. Yeah, 2,000. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, I wrote the wrong number. Excuse me, guys. 6,205. So then your answer checks out. So that is a long division strategy. In this lesson, you learned how to divide using the long division strategy.